Paul says very simply, concisely today, do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. I'd like to speak about that. In particular, what the power of Christ has to do in our own lives to transform it. Christianity, in a large part, is coming to change our minds, that they be renewed. And I think I can best explain that from sharing from my own life experience of the renewal that's happened in my life. Hopefully it's a help to you. For much of my life, I had a view of myself that was very distorted. That is, that the way I viewed myself was not based in what was really true and accurate, but I was very, very concerned about how other people viewed me. I'm not sure if I'm the only person that does that. But it caused me to behave in particular ways that I will explain here. And what it led me to do was, from a young age, I began to react and change my behavior to what I thought would allow or make people like me. And the behaviors that I chose primarily were athletics, because I didn't like my body. Let me explain kind of what happens here. When I was really small, maybe 6 years old, at this time of year in our home, we canned fruits and vegetables. I don't know if any of you did that. It was canning season, and we did lots of canning. I remember we were finishing peaches. We had big peach trees, and we were canning peaches. And we were carrying them down. We had to go outside through our garage to our backyard, and we'd stack them in a crawl space, like a root cellar under the house. And my dad, and I'm not throwing my dad under the bus, we have a great relationship, but my dad's involved with this story. He's a great man. When my dad worked, he was a hard labor every day. And this is a Saturday morning. He was tired. And our dad would say to us, now make sure you don't break any of those. We worked hard for that. So we're hauling the jars down to the basement. And I come up to the table, and jars are being handed to me. And I'm given 2 big jars. And I'm holding them like this. Can you picture a little boy holding big jars? I would have taken just one, but they were handed to me. And I'm walking out, in the back of my head, don't drop the jars. And I go down the back steps, and I'm walking across the garage floor, which is concrete, and in my left arm, this jar is going. And I'm like, now as a 6-year-old, you would think, I don't have the mental capacity to go, put the jars down, readjust, take one. You don't do that, right? This was just given to me. This is my job, and I have to do this. And right as the jar fell from my hand and shattered on the floor, guess who turned the corner? Dad. He didn't beat me or anything. My dad's a good man. But darn it, I told you not to break those and things. And in my little 6-year-old mind, I'm like, but I didn't take them. They were handed to me, and it's not my fault. Just go to your room. We'll just, basically, we're in a hurry. Just get out of the way, and we'll get the work done. So as a little 6-year-old boy, I went to my room and cried. But here's the important thing. This is what I want you to focus on. I had emotions going on in me as a 6-year-old. All of us have emotions. Emotions are natural to us, and they're fine. Nothing wrong with them. But emotions do not float around in our psyche alone. They have to be linked to a belief. Our feelings have to be interpreted. And when our feelings are connected to a belief or a thought, and that's what helps us understand our feelings and situations in life, so we can move through with understanding and not just be like, I have no idea what's going on in the world. So our feelings are connected to a thought. And then when we're children, We look to our parents to help us process those emotions. And our parents, when we were children, we look to our parents as God figures. They are the truth bearers. And so parents really, in the primary sense, interpret the thoughts for the children, and they interpret their process their feelings, hopefully in a truthful way, so their children have good, truthful thoughts linked to those emotions, and they're well-adjusted psychological people. Did you follow that? If not, come talk to me later. Okay? But my dad did not process that emotion with me. And so I did it myself in that room. My dad could have come in and said, Caleb, I love you. It wasn't your fault. I recognize that. You're still my boy. I'm proud of you. And that would have been fine, but he didn't do that. And again, I'm not throwing my dad under the bus. We've talked about this. We're good. So a little 6-year-old boy, I do it myself. I have the negative emotions and negative feelings, and I begin to then interpret that myself, and this is where the devil sneaks in. He is the father of lies, and I begin to believe things that are not true. These are the thoughts that were going through my head, which I discovered years later, and I'll talk about that in a minute. This is that little 6-year-old boy began to believe. Dad doesn't love me. I'm stupid. I can't do things right. None of which were true. Those are lies. But for that little boy, it was true. And that thought becomes linked, like a chain link, to that emotion. You with me? And that gets tucked away in here and here. Becomes embedded in my psychology. So a thought and an emotion are linked. They're there. Then what happens is, as I move through life and I encounter situations that are similar to the Peach event, and it can evoke a similar situation, that feeling and that thought can come back out. And here's how it came out. Several years later, I'm on the playground at school, and we're going to play a game, and we're picking teams. I pick you, I pick you, I pick you, I pick you, and guess who's last? We all know what that's like. And in that moment, what's happening is you're seeing the numbers dwindle. This emotion starts to come up, doesn't it? In me, it was just this emotion came up. I bet you can all think of a moment where somebody said something or did something, and emotion just went boom right on your chest. You felt it. Somebody insults you, they comment on something, and you're just like, oh, there it is. Well, that feeling comes up. There's that feeling again. But that feeling doesn't come alone. It's linked with a belief. And it's all sort of deep and almost unconscious that I'm not lovable. People don't like me. And so as a boy in that moment, I'm like, this is not good to live this way. It's painful. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's just hard. It's difficult. So here's what happens. This is what happened to me. I think it happens to a lot of us. I don't like living in that kind of emotional and psychological pain. And so I begin to adjust my behavior because I believed at the core of my identity that I'm not lovable the way that I am. So I have to somehow change who I am so that people will love me and like me. Therefore, I'm going to change my behavior because my behavior is obviously affecting how people are interacting with me. So what did I choose to do? I choose to become an athlete. So in school, people will choose to be really smart, jocks, right? The druggies, the goths, you name it. Pick your group. I have to change my behavior and become the partier or whatnot. I have to do something because if I stay the way that I am, I'm going to be left out and rejected and unloved. Follow me? So I dedicated myself to athletics. Oh my gosh. I just sort of laugh at the amount of energy and time I expended in training, exercise. And my bodily appearance was so important to me. You wouldn't know now, would you? But this is part of my redemption story, which is kind of funny. I mean, the moment I would put on a pound or so, I would flip. And I would back at it. I went for like 5 years once without ever eating butter. Isn't that crazy? I was dedicated. That's crazy. But we do crazy things when we're not rooted in the truth. And here's the reading of what Paul is saying today. He says, brothers and sisters, do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Jesus Christ said, if you remain with me, you will truly become my disciple, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Free from what? No, sin. Is that it? From communism? I don't know. Free from the lie. If he is the truth, then he wants to set us free from the lie. Who's the first enemy in the Bible? Satan, the father of lies. What did he do to Adam and Eve? He lied to them and they believed it and it ruined their lives. We believe lies about ourselves. As a 6-year-old boy, I began to have lie-based belief thinking about myself. How do we fix that? Because brothers and sisters, all of us can probably look, our behaviors can be severely affected by these things. Right? Fortunately, not too long after I was ordained a priest, God blessed me with a group of some really wonderful people who were doing some good work around this. There's a woman named Pat. Pat Ott, love you. And she walked me through some things. And I sat with her for hours. And here's what we basically did. Is we would find a moment in my present life where I was triggered. Have you heard that word, the psychological word triggered? Triggered is when one of those emotions go, right? Maybe some of you, it's when your parents start nagging on you and you're like, "Rrr." Spouses, you do it to each other all the time. You say one thing, one look, and that's a trigger. So I'd find a trigger for myself. And that trigger brings up an emotion, and we're really good as people, we push our emotional pain away. It's a defense mechanism. But with Pat, she's like, don't do that. And what she had helped me do, she helped me just enter into the emotional pain. This is where the gospel comes in today. If you seek to save your life, you will lose it. If you seek to lose your life, you will save it. You must take up your cross. Do not be conformed to this age. We want to hide from our pain, and we want to cover it up and medicate it. Not that medication is bad in all things, but you know what I'm trying to say. Don't run away from the pain. And she helped me enter right into it, and it hurt. And so I allowed myself to actually feel that pain. And she helped and she guided me. Pat was wonderful. And she guided me back to where that pain began in my life. And the next thing you know, I'm at this memory with Peaches. I hadn't thought about that since I was 6. But our minds remember, our psychology remembers. And the next thing I know, she's guiding me and I'm with Peaches. And what she helped me do was discover what that little boy was believing to be true. And that's how I came to believe that I was believing about myself, Dad doesn't love me. I'm not good enough. All of which was a lie. And when I found that lie, Pat did something very simple. She just said, would you be willing to hear from Jesus about that? She says you have to be open to God will not throw himself on you. He's very respectful of your will. So I said, yes, I will. I would love to hear from Jesus. And just in the quiet of my heart, I was open. She just said, Jesus, what do you want Caleb to know about that? About not being lovable? And then Jesus spoke into my mind and my heart, truth. Nothing big, nothing fancy. But when truth comes in to the presence of lie, the lie disappears. Lies have no power. It's like light and darkness. Darkness has no power. If I turned out these lights, it would be dark. If I turned the lights back on, there'd be no battle between light and dark. Like, oh, this corner's really strong. It's like fighting back against the light. That doesn't happen. The light just disappears. That when the truth enters in, the lie disappears. Unless we give it authority, it's gone. And so Jesus spoke truth into that lie. The lie was replaced and the lie was gone. But what's the lie linked to? It's also linked to an emotion. So those were gone. That trigger was gone. That belief was gone. And I was in that moment healed and set free. And almost instantly, my life was changed. And here's how it was changed. I lost all motivation to exercise. Because my motivation to exercise was completely built up in lies. For all the wrong reasons. So this is my redemption story. Now I have to work in and develop a whole new set of motivation, but the correct way. I need to go exercise. I need to do that. But in a sense, but now I can do it for the right reason. I've been set free. I can crack jokes about my own weight, and it doesn't bother me. 10 years ago, I would die. Brothers and sisters, do not be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. If you would like some help with this, it would be my honor to walk with you. I can help with this. Sister Rose over here has lots of training in this and can help you. Sister Mary Timothy can walk with you in this sort of thing. You don't have to stay in the lie and the pain and be so trapped by our behaviors to say, no, I can't. We're at a party, I don't want to do that, but I'm talking about. We do so many things, don't we? Because the lies are like, But Jesus said, if you remain with me, you'll become my disciple. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Free from what? Free from all of that which makes life not worth living. Because I have come that you might have life and have it to the full. Jesus is real. The truth is real, and I pray that you can have it more deeply in your life. God bless you.